What's going on, Facebook Live? How are you guys doing out there? Facebook Live market update. I got my man Nathan Smith next to me. We're going to give this a couple minutes to catch up because that's what Facebook tells you to do. And we're going to get into some serious market information for you guys. We broke this down into a few different portions. We're going to do some general housekeeping first, then we're going to get to some audience questions, and then we're going to get to what's happening in the markets that we play in, and then we're going to get into the stats portion of it. Feel free to jump in at any point in time, ask any questions. We'll digress, answer some of them, get back to them, or we'll come back to them later or answer them in future episodes. So it's as interactive as you could possibly be. So let's get right into the actual housekeeping portion of things. So if you haven't seen this before and are curious about some of the other things that we do in the market, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is go to Instagram and follow at the Closers Team with an S. That way you can really see what our day-to-day looks like. Our team is very active on social media. We like to give a lot of, inside knowledge as far as things you need to know when it comes to real estate, things that we see happening, trends out there, and we're pretty open about posting on them on a regular basis. I think the most consistent thing we do is the Closers Daily, where we'll take questions from the audience, DMs and whatnot, and we'll actually answer those questions through the episode. So you can check us out, like I said, on Instagram. You can also check out Nathan the Closers. He's got his own Instagram. Nathan is the guy that we're talking about, and the title of this, the title of the episode is Cooling Markets, Hot Properties, and Thor got his real estate license. So for those of you that have known us for a little while, my man Nathan here has been known as Thor before. He's got the man bun right now, but if he lets it down, it gets pretty intense. So he's been working on his license for a little while and got fully licensed now. So we're just waiting for the RICO registration number, and he'll be taking my job before long. So
right.
Nathan came to us probably about a year and a half ago now, started asking us about real estate, and I'll give him a little bit of a platform right now to kind of talk about why he came to us and what his thoughts are when it comes to real estate.
Yeah, so for you, those of you who don't know yet, I am Nathan Smith. I came to Justin not even into the real estate market, not knowing a thing about it. I'm a musician. I'm all about fitness, so for me to go into that kind of industry, it's a little bit different, but it's something that I've been around my whole life. My mom and dad, my mom's a stager, my dad's been involved with mortgages, and some of their friends are all real estate agents, so it's kind of been around me my whole life, and I've kind of grown up with it. So it was something that I wanted to take on, and it seems to be a little bit more of a business that I would be interested in. So, yeah.
Yeah, and part of why we liked his approach was when he came to us, really, he was just looking for mentorship. He was curious about how the business operated, wanted to kind of see what our day-to-day looks like. And he had a great relationship with my business partner, Jeff House, who does a lot of the commercial stuff as well. And, his dad being in the mortgage business for so long, we jumped at the opportunity to take somebody who had such good customer service skills. I knew he had a great reputation out there, and showcase all the opportunities that are out there. Those of you who we talked about our firm to before, we're not your typical sales office. We're not just operating with a whole pile of agents, and we're not really active as far as doing the day-to-days with them. We really take in our people and we apprentice them, and we work with them on a one-to-one basis to see what works for them. I think one of our first conversations was about fitness and music, and I was very clear with him that we were happy to train him and educate him and everything else, but we want him to be happy. We want him to grow. If he calls me tomorrow and he's like, what, I moved to Nashville, I'm going to be happy for him because I really want him to succeed. Now, if part of that portion is going through real estate and discovering a passion he didn't know about, I'm happy to provide that platform. For me, what's really important is making sure that our clients and customers are taken care of, and he really fits that mold. So we want to welcome him to the team. We're super happy. That's why we have him on this market update. St. Thomas boy, born and bred, so he knows that area really, really well, but he's been traveling all over with us, with the team for the past, like I said, year. So he's come to our investment conferences and everything else. So, he's recently licensed, but he's got more experience than some people I've seen who've been in the business for 10 or 15 years. That's funny. That actually touches on another conversation I had with a recently licensed mortgage agent today. And, she was saying part of the challenge getting into any business is, well, you've only been in business for a short time. Is that going to be your biggest barrier? And it is a question that comes up, right? And what we tell her is, depends on how your support is structured, right? If you are flying solo and maybe you've been in the business for a year and you're just acting like you know what you're doing, you're going to fall forward. And you might say you're a commercial realtor and you don't review a lease properly, you run into a pile of trouble, right? Those things can happen. But if you have the right support network behind you, it's a whole different story. And Nathan's, well, no, he's pointing at me, but I mean, I could point in the boardroom over there at Jeff and other people that we look to for advice. And truth be told, a lot of our success comes from other people. There were people that were before me. There were people that are going to be after me. So, you know, using the support structure, or, you know, that girl I was talking about, it's got an amazing team behind her that has over 200 years of experience in that world. So, you know, she might actually have more clout and more ability to get deals done than somebody who's been in the business for a couple years, but again, is flying solo and doesn't have that support team. So we'll get on to the next little bit here. We want to give a couple local business shout outs. So we're going to do this on every market update. Businesses that have supported us, or, you know, recently opened and we like their product and we're going to be going there on a frequent basis, or people that have just been around forever and are staples in the community that we're happy to support as well. Los Lobos, the Wolf Brothers, just opened up their taco joint.
So good.
Amazing. It's funny because they had Rocco Taco next to the Early Bird for a long time. A lot of people didn't know that. It was kind of hidden gem in London, but now they're operating out of the old, what was it called? The Whiskey House at the corner of Talbot Street and Albert, I believe. Perfect location for their new venue. Probably one of the best setups I've ever seen. If you haven't been there yet, go check it out. Nathan, the next one, that's yours, right?
Church Key, yeah. I don't know when they opened, but I've been going there for the last little bit, and they've got a burger on the menu that is to die for.
I've never been there myself.
You should go.
Lunch meeting next week for sure.
Real.
Rip through three more quick ones for you. Toboggan Brewery & Co. We mentioned them here. Mike Smith, he is up for a Hall of Fame award as well too. So super proud, super happy. He was a mentor of mine for a long time. Talk about learning from people. You know, Mike taught me to put other people first. So big shout out to him and his company. They're always doing good things. And shout out to my crew from there. Our fantasy football league just started. I'm going to get destroyed for sure because I'm not paying attention because I'm too busy paying real estate. I drafted Julian Edelman. That tells you guys anything. And the two last ones are LemonTree Photography. Sometimes I take it for granted. They're like one of our appendages. They're with us all the time at our listings. They've been doing such a good job from the design to the photography and videography. If you guys are looking for any of that stuff in any business, give them a call. And Y Designs, Tony Y and his crew, they take a lot of the design work, actually put into print. So you see our cheesy smiling faces in the street. That's his print work, and a lot of it is sign install. So thank you to those guys. We're going to jump into some audience questions. So we had some audience questions we threw out there. And we had Adam Brock and Rahim, who actually both had a similar question. And Adam Brock's question was, people keep talking about the bubble bursting in London. Do you think prices will continue to stay where they are and raise, or do you think prices will go back down? And Rahim asked me to define bubble. So I'll actually answer Rahim's question first, and then I'll answer Adam's. Define bubble. A housing bubble is a run-up on housing prices fueled by demand, speculation, and exuberance. Speculators enter the market, further driving demand. At some point, demand decreases and stagnates. At the same time, supply increases, resulting in a sharp drop in prices. A bubble bursts. You know, is the bubble going to burst in London? The January to May bubble already burst, and then the June bubble burst, and then the August bubble burst. Real estate, I mean, if you're looking at it on a week-to-week basis, you're missing the whole picture. You got to look at the macroeconomic indicators of a real estate market to understand where things are going. London, for the past 20 years, has been very, very stable in its growth, and recently got a huge uptick because of what was happening in Toronto in those general areas. So a lot of those markets were so over-leveraged that London was the next stop. And it was before they made the tax changes. So January to May was when you heard of all that craziness out there. You're 50 grand over, 100 grand over, 75 grand over, no conditions. That market's not sustainable. The agents are exhausted. Sellers, buyers are frustrated. And, you know, when the government did announce those tax changes, the bubble burst a little bit. And prices came back down, but we kept growing. So month on month, if you followed our market updates and stats, we kept growing. This month, and we'll get into the stats later, is the first month we've had in, I think, 3 years that hasn't set a record, and we actually had a decrease in the average sale price. Talk about that more later on. So when Adam's asking the question, is the bubble going to burst? You know, if you're talking about a serious burst, like everybody's going to lose $100,000 worth of value on their homes, people are going to be foreclosing and whatnot, no. I don't believe that's going to happen anytime soon. I actually think our lenders do a better job regulating the industry, so I don't think we're going to get into the same troubles that they ran into in the States. Even in markets like Toronto, you know, you're seeing the bubble dip a bit. But if it follows the same cycle as Vancouver did when they had their tax changes, they were out of it in 10 months. So we may be having this conversation now, but fast forward 6 or 7 months from now, it could change, and all the deals you're passing up on right now have increased in value $50,000. It happens. The last question we had was Jeremy McCall. My man, Jeremy, one of the best guys out there, runs Dad Club London with a bunch of wicked guys. They do tons for the community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The AED drive that you guys just did to put defibrillators in every school was phenomenal. I know they surpassed their goals, so super proud of those guys. His question was, can you explain how commercial leasing tends to work for anyone who's contemplating opening their own business for the first time? Standard pricing and leases and whatnot. So how does it work? It's super complicated. So if you're just a regular person out there, you're going to see a for lease sign, you're going to call it, you're going to get their rents, you're going to sign a lease, and you might do the work or the landlord might do the work, and then you're going to open up shop. Typically what you'll see in the marketplace is landlords want 5 years plus on their leases, especially if they're spending money on the place. So if they're spending money on the place, they want the security. They're going to want to know what type of tenant you are. So what type of covenant do you have? That's why when you hear commercial leasing, a lot of times the AAA tenants have a lot more leverage in the marketplace because Shoppers Drug Mart is going to come in. They maybe give you a corporate covenant so you know that they're solid and they'll sign a 10 or 15-year lease. Now, here's the tricky part. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you're probably going to miss out on. And I'm not saying this so you can call me to work with me, although I would love that. You need representation if you're doing commercial leasing. If you're doing the commercial lease on your own, you're missing opportunities because the people that are doing deals out there will know what the inducements are. So landlords will typically give you inducements like free rent, free build-out costs, all kinds of things to get you into their space. So, you know, if you understand what the landlord wants, then you can structure a lease to get them what they want, but then put in some inducements to help you balance out and grow your business. Whether that be like an escalation in rent, so you start off lower, maybe $1,000 a month, and then work up to the asking price of $3,000. You know, there's so many intricacies in leases. You got to be super, super careful. I heard of a recent situation where somebody went into a space, signed a lease, did a whole bunch of build-out stuff, didn't read the lease accurately, and then got into trouble when it came time to settle up the bills because contract law is law. If it goes to the courts, the judge is going to look at what was actually stipulated in the contract, what was done, and then that's going to be the deciding factor, right? You know, speak to some of your experience on that a little bit, just seeing the leasing stuff we've done from not being in the industry at all.
I just finished the course, so I went through a lot of like the contracts and the clauses and such, and they really do in the textbooks, they do really focus on that the contract is a written form, and that's what they base off of. So if there's discrepancies between people verbally, they're going to go back on the contract first and foremost. So
as much as we'd like it to be, you know, that your word is your bond, you got to make sure that you have somebody that knows what they're doing. Read that contract, have everything stipulated in writing down to the letter. Yeah. There may be some things you're missing, so that's why we're saying always use representation. Make sure you're covered. All right, let's go to the local news. So a couple big things. EMCO is a manufacturing company actually on Dundas Street. So right across from Kellogg's, obviously everybody sees what's going on with the Kellogg's factory. That's sold, going through some big redevelopment. EMCO is right across the street, and they're actually going to be building a new 30,000 square foot facility in the east end of London by Veterans Memorial. So that's a big move. Their old site is actually up for redevelopment as well. So that's 3 sites now. The old McCormick's factory is already planned and approved, so that's going through redevelopment. Kellogg's, now EMCO. So are you seeing, again, from a macro level, the things that are happening? You can see fast forward in 3 years how great Old East Village is going to be, and you can really see that pocket expanding. So shout out to Old East Village and everybody out there. We love seeing what's happening. Big supporters are there. Some great coffee shops and restaurants down there too. Fanshawe, you want to give them a rundown of what's happening at the downtown Fanshawe location?
Fanshaw's next. We have a $62 million project going on. It's a 6th floor. How many square feet is it?
115,173 square feet.
That's a lot. Like, that's crazy. So they're bringing, for the longest time, they had their own college in the east side, and they had their second little college in St. Thomas, and now they're moving into the downtown area, and it's going to bring a lot of positive vibes to that end of Dundas. And they're doing so much cool stuff with that Kings Mill store. They're trying to keep it original. Like, they have the elevator they're using as a change room for the retail section downstairs, and they're using the the tubing system. They're going to try and keep that all like working and everything. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I didn't even know that. So he's teaching me things already. 1,600 new students downtown. So how amazing is that going to be for downtown? Because kids go in an area, parents feel safe, parents start going there. All the wicked shops that are opening up on Dundas are going to benefit from that. I'm actually going to jump into another news item, and that's the London Free Press is shutting down their big building. They're moving into the Pathways building on Clarence Street in Dundas, so another win for Dundas Street. We've been talking about this for years. Maddie Morell, thanks for joining RD. Rachel Polakovic and Jay Robinson, just wanted to give some shout-outs to some people that we see in the feed. Going back to that, London Free Press's presence on Dundas Street is dynamite. Right next to the planning division, Rebel Remedies right there, Plant Matters Kitchen, Trapdoor Escape Room. I mean, it goes on and on and on. We've been harping on this for years. You guys don't want to go down Dundas Street. Well,
it's vibing up.
It's vibing up. And if you want to open a business, it's going to be too late. The rates are going to be too expensive. You're not going to be able to do it anymore. New developments under permit. I'll rip through these really quick because it's kind of dry. I don't want to bore you guys too much. 1331 Hyde Park Road. So the second and final phase of Westfield, Beer and Westfield subdivision. It's going to be 97 detached lots on the south side of Coronation Drive and the north of the railway tracks there on Hyde Park Road. So that's up for permit approval. There's two more, 1284 and 1388 Sunningdale Road West. So Fox Hollow North, they're looking to get that approved. 995 Fanshawe Park Road West, 111 single detached lots by Landria Developments, going off access off Tolkala Trail. So behind like the Sunripe and that whole area, they want to pop in another 111 single family homes. And then 3493 Colonel Talbot Road. The first phase was Silverleaf. They're a year behind. I remember last year in our market update in January, it was nuts. Couldn't find a lot, couldn't find a house. Silverleaf was a year behind. So now you see they're looking for their final approvals. And then 1335 Commissioners Road West. There's two developments happening there. There's the Tricar development, and then there's another development looking to get apartments approved too. So keep an eye on those. All right, Huron Coast. So we'll touch on the Huron Coast really quick. So Grand Bend Bayfield. I'm not going to overcomplicate things. You know, the time on market and the prices are, time on market is shrinking and the prices are going up. So a lot of times land in those areas, like if you look in Huron Woods too, if you look in Huron Woods, if you look, you know, historically at South Cal Pines, they've always been slow growth, not the greatest investments. All of a sudden there's a big uptick in interest. You list anything, it's selling fairly quickly if it's priced and marketed correctly. And prices that maybe you had thought a house was worth $475, maybe it's trading for over $5 now. So getting a little bit more ambitious with the pricing. I think a lot of it is the interest from people coming from the areas we've been working. Newmarket, Oakville, Toronto, GTA, selling their houses for $800, retiring on the coast. So excited about that. Let's dig into the stats now. Everybody's favorite part, just so you can hear the actual numbers. 892 homes exchanged hands last month. So small dip in sales from August of last year, but still up quite a bit. So, you know, 2017, incredible year for real estate. New builds, if you're a new build agent, you need to bank those checks because that market's not going to last the way it's lasted forever, right? It was people coming in buying 30 properties, 40 properties at a time. Crazy things happening. But the inventory shriveled up. So hopefully with the new inventory, so that housing demand gets met. The average price across London and St. Thomas region, which actually L-Star jurisdiction goes all the way up to Grand Bend, Strathroy, well, some Woodstock, depending on what you're thinking. Average price is $326, so it's down 1.4% from last month, but it's up 18.2.
Yeah, there was a bit of an odyssey too, right?
Average price last year was like 270s, 280s. So when we're doing market updates and telling people about our market, jump into like 326 to 330, even though we dipped a little bit from last month, it's more indicative of what's happened last year to this year than anything else. St. Thomas
is a little crazy. St. Thomas, we saw a total of 63 homes sold up 1.6% from the same time last year. So it's up a little bit. The average home price is $270, and that's up again 1.4% from the previous month. So
timing-wise, St. Thomas is always just a little bit behind in London because it's a tertiary market. Now people will look in London, look in St. Thomas, live in London for 10 years, move to St. Thomas, realize how awesome the community is down there, and the pricing will reflect that. And the bidding wars will reflect that too. So when bidding wars were happening here, they hadn't really touched St. Thomas yet. But then when they were cooling down here and we were going to St. Thomas, it's like you couldn't put an offer on something without 4 other people being there.
The ripple effect.
Ripple effect plus price point wise. I mean, you get a lot for your money down there. Development wise, is there anything happening in St. Thomas?
Yeah. So not a whole lot's happened in a little bit, but over the last 2 years, we have a new retirement home going in, which is going to bring like 120 suites, I think, 10 or 12 townhouses on the corner of Center and Moore, I think, just behind Legends Tavern, the most like bumped up bar in St. Thomas. And then the second thing is we're getting a $12 million outdoor rec facility that's going to be the northeast side of St. Thomas, and that's going to be massive. Like, apart from just having a big rec center, we're going to have people coming in from out of town, and the attraction is going to be amazing. And I live near it, so I go past it most days, and it's the speed at which what they're putting up is nuts. Like they've got it leveled, and they're all ready to start building sometime soon. So it's cool to see it go.
Rec centers and things like that build communities. We just signed a petition for another one actually up in Huron area, and that was exactly what I wrote. I wrote, if you build the infrastructure, the people will come.
Yeah, they will.
But a lot of times, if they look at a city and that stuff's not there, they just move on. So kudos to St. Thomas in that area for doing that. We're going to wrap up this episode. We appreciate your attention as always. Like, comment, share, follow us. If you go check out the Closers Daily, you'll see a whole bunch of our faces in the next month. Thanks as always. Take care.